What's up guys, it's Ben. How's everyone doing today? I've got a really cool video for you. Two Spyderco sprint runs here. The Z-Wear Shaman canvas micarta handles and the S90V native chief with the carbon fiber handles. This is linerless carbon fiber on this guy and it's the nicest carbon fiber I've seen on a Spyderco knife. I'm going to put that one to the side. We're going to get into the Shaman first. It's just hotter than the native chief right now. Everybody wants the Shaman right now and it's going to be a really high number production of a sprint run. Usually they're 1,200 to 2,000 pieces. I've also heard that they can be up to 3,000 pieces, and whatever the highest number is, this is going to be around that. They're going to make a lot of these, and most everybody's going to have a chance to get one, and I think you should. There's a lot of cool things about it that I'm going to go over. Let's go through the size real quick. The overall length is 8.3 inches. Blade length is 3.62 inches. Cutting edge, 3.14. Blade thickness is 0.14. So it's a pretty thick blade, long blade. It's going to be over that 3-inch limit for a lot of people, but it's a stout blade. I really like it. It thins out pretty well. Be a great utility knife. I know everybody says that about the Shaman. So here we've got it with the PM2 and the Delica, everything lined up pretty much at the pivot. Delica is the baby in this situation, but the PM2 has a little bit on the Shaman. Because the Shaman's handle is so contoured, it tends to be smaller and it fits in the hand a lot better than a PM2 handle. There's nothing wrong with the way a PM2 handle sits in your hand. It's almost like a Glock. If you've ever held a Glock, like, yeah, it goes in your hand well, but it's just kind of a blocky item. You know, that's how the PM2 is. It's fine, it's great, but it's blocky, it's generic, we've all held it before. Nothing wrong with it. The Shaman is a more refined version of a PM2 mixed with a native, in my opinion, because you've got the compression lock, obviously. Great lock, love this lock, fun to play with, and this Shaman was good to go out of the box action wise. It's been flicky since the very moment I got it. I do like it a lot. The centering has a bit to be desired. It's a little over on that show side, but I don't really care. It will probably even out. I'm going to use this knife so much, and I could probably loosen these body screws and play with the pivot to get it correct, but it's not bothering me at the moment. So that's the Spyderco Z-Wear Shaman. Let's talk just a little bit about this Z-Wear steel. You guys know I'm a steel nerd. I absolutely love steels, and this is an amazing one. This is not made by a major manufacturer like CPM or CTS or any of those guys. This is actually made by a company called Zapp. It's a German steel maker, and it's spelled Z-A-P-P, Zapp. So that's really why I wanted this. And if you want to get into Z-Wear steel, it's crew wear. It's the same exact thing as crew wear. I was talking to a really experienced knife maker buddy of mine the other day, and every time I have a question about a certain steel, I go to him because he tests every steel. He has a Rockwell hardness tester, and he heat treats as well. So he really knows a lot about it. And I said, hey man, what's the deal with this Z-Wear? And his message back was literally, it's crew wear. So I was like, what? And then I looked up the chemical composition, and yeah, it's one of the closest steels I've ever seen. It's so close to crew wear. But there is nothing wrong with that. Crew wear is absolutely a top tier super steel. It's gonna be a steel that'll rust. You're gonna want to keep some oil on it. I use mineral oil. I know I used to use WD-40, but I've switched over to mineral oil. And that's pretty much it on that steel. It's good stuff. It's gonna be a nice steel. It's gonna hold an edge. Just make sure you keep it oiled. But anyway, these canvas micarta handles, I want to talk about these for a second because when I got this knife, they were too rough for me. You know, I've got messed up fingernails and my fingernails will catch rough micarta. So I went ahead and took some 3000 grit sandpaper and just sanded my Shaman down a little bit. I know some people are going to think that's crazy, but you can't tell that I did it visually. It just feels a lot smoother, and I tend to like smooth micarta over super rough micarta. It wasn't too rough, just when I was unlocking the knife here, my finger would catch on a little edge right here, and I didn't want to tear it up with my fingernail, so I just went ahead and took it down a little bit. But that's the Z-Wear Shaman. That's pretty much everything I have to say about that knife. I love it. I also want to talk about this native chief. I sold my S90V native to a buddy of mine. Hope you're enjoying that if you watch this video. And I just had to have some Spyderco S90V. S90V in the last couple weeks has become my very favorite steel. I really think that S90V is the best out there right now as far as an EDC steel. It's got good rust resistance, great edge retention. It's pretty tough. The only thing is that it can be chippy, and some people may find it difficult to sharpen S90V. Although a lot of people right now are talking about the fact that no matter how tough and hard a steel is, it's not going to be hard to sharpen if you have the right tools and you know what you're doing. So I don't know. It should be easy to sharpen. It's not Maximet or anything. So let's compare this to a couple knives. Here's a Kershaw Leak in carbon fiber. That's the glow-in-the-dark carbon fiber, so you can tell just dwarfs that Leak. And you've already seen the Shaman next to it. Here's a Spyderco Ambitious. You don't see this knife very much. It's basically just a mini Persistence or a mini Tenacious, whatever you want to say. Just a little 8CR 13 MOV liner lock guy. Love it. Been carrying this every day for a little while. So these handles here are a little different than these handles here. I hear a lot of people talking about peel ply carbon fiber, and I believe this is the peel ply. This is way more rough. It almost feels like normal G10. So I think technically this is not real deal carbon fiber. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this is just a different texture than this. But as far as I know, this is the real deal carbon fiber on this Native Chief Sprint Run. And it's linerless. So this knife doesn't weigh anything. And this is a big honking knife. I actually have one more knife that I can compare this with. It's right over here. One second. Just another big honking knife. I didn't think to put that in the video, but just to show you scale of how big that Native Chief is. That's a large Espada. You know, a lot of people regard the Espada as one of the biggest knives you can carry. And the Native is pretty far behind, but you can tell it's a big boy. It's a really big knife. Great self-defense knife. The tip is even finer than the tip on the PM2. This is that carbon fiber PM2. Your tip is even finer on this Native. So you can break the tip off this Native if you try to. I wouldn't pry with this knife. I would say that this is mostly a self-defense EDC blade. You could EDC this, maybe a little big. For me, it's going to be tempting to carry this because I really like thin profile knives. The only thing that I don't like about the Manix is how tall it is. You see how much taller this is than this Native Chief at the Spidey hole? The Native Chief is much thinner, much easier to get something else in your pocket if you want to have something else in there. Don't get me wrong, I love the Manix. The ergos on the Manix are almost perfect in my opinion. Definitely better than your PM2. But that's the Native Chief. I think I've been through pretty much everything. I'm going to go ahead and get a deep carry clip on this since it's just a standard, you know, Delica PM2 clip, whatever you want to call it. I'm probably going to go with a Casey Lynch clip on this guy. And that's it. I just wanted to show you guys these two Spyderco Sprint runs lately. If you can get a Z-Wear Shaman, go for it. Y'all have a nice day. Thank you.